2020 has been very strange so far, and I have a feeling it's going to continue to be strange. It sorta seems like we know what's coming now, but it's all so hard to say. Should we trust some of these rumors, or is Nintendo doing something completely different? There's a lot to unpack, and while I'm actually a little more optimistic for this year now, it's still so up in the air, and I think it's going to be really interesting how this all plays out. The way that Nintendo is putting games out right now, all the rumors flying in that suddenly seem to have some validity, like this weird one about the 35th anniversary of Mario, Nintendo skipping the E3 Direct or pushing it back, and the question of how functional Nintendo is in terms of how much they can actually work on developing stuff, are all happening at the same time, and I think this is going to make for a very interesting second half of the year. People seem to like the video I did on Paper Mario the Origami King, where I basically just talked about it, so I'm going to try to do sort of that format again. I'm probably missing the actual reason people liked it, but I'm giving it a shot. Hello all 2,370 of you, I'm Redkwan, and Nintendo seems to be having a very weird 2020. So let's start with the first half of the year. The first half of the year hasn't really been that strange games-wise, but it's of course been strange in some other ways. Nintendo hasn't done much in the first half of the year in any of the years during the Switch's lifetime except for 2017, so it isn't too surprising that the only major thing we got was Animal Crossing. I haven't played it because, well, I don't know at this point, but I've heard it's really good, and it seems like a lot of people are enjoying it. But after Animal Crossing came out, things have been really silent. We got a Nintendo Direct Mini in late March, but there weren't really any big new announcements, and I honestly felt like we just weren't going to get much of anything this year. Nintendo announces their games at least a little while before they come out, and it seemed like the window was really starting to close. Plus, even though we haven't gotten a full Direct since September of last year, it seemed like Nintendo may not even do an E3 show, so we might be going until late 2020 before we got another Direct. And that was the only place where we got major announcements. Plus, it sounded like it was just really hard to work during all this in Japan, so it seemed like we weren't going to get much of anything from Nintendo this year. We'd probably still get a holiday game and maybe another small thing, maybe, but even that didn't seem like a guarantee. But Paper Mario the Origami King changes a lot. First, it shows that Nintendo can still work on things to some extent, or at least that they may have some games that are pretty much ready that they haven't revealed yet for whatever reason. Nintendo isn't totally on pause right now, and things are still happening, even if it is limited. Plus, it shows that we shouldn't count out Nintendo announcements happening differently than we'd expect them to. I'm used to Nintendo announcing all their big stuff in Directs, and giving a decent while between the announcement and release, but Paper Mario is a pretty big announcement that they just dropped by itself, and the release date is only 2 months after the announcement. There's almost no chance they would do this with something as big as a new Mario or Zelda, but apparently the Nintendo series that are a bit smaller could show up at any time with almost no notice by themselves and release within a few months. There may only be about 7 months left in the year, but if we can get announcements and have games come out within 2 months, there could actually be a few more games coming. And of course, there's also the rumor about the Mario games coming out this year. I usually don't talk much about rumors because it's really hard to tell how credible they are, and most times they're not entirely accurate, but this one's been reported by a ton of different places, and with the announcement for a new Paper Mario, like it predicted, a lot of people pretty much accept this as a sure thing at this point. Paper Mario the Origami King feels like a near confirmation of the rumors about Mario's 35th anniversary blowout. So with one announcement, we went from thinking that we couldn't get any big announcements for months, and there would be no time to put out more than a game this year, to feeling like anything could be announced at any time and still come out in 2020. And there's a pretty good chance we could get a bunch of 3D Mario remakes or remasters in the next 6 months. I'm still pretty curious about this announcement style. Will Nintendo really keep announcing games randomly and with such short notice? Honestly, I kinda hope not, and I don't think future announcements will be quite this extreme. 2 months is a pretty short time to get ready to release a game, and I think Nintendo would have liked to have a bit more time if they were able to. Something probably got in the way a little bit, and they weren't able to announce it in a full Direct. I wouldn't be surprised if it was originally supposed to be in the Direct Mini, and the Direct Mini was originally supposed to be a full Direct, but then once this all started they weren't able to, so they made it into a Direct Mini instead. This might have just been the only way they were able to announce it and still get it out in July. But I could definitely see more announcements like it that come out by themselves and tell us about games that are releasing in just a few months. The Mario thing is what really gets me though, because I don't think it makes all that much sense, but at the same time there's a lot of evidence for it. The rumor, from what I've heard, seems to be saying there will be remastered or remade versions of all the old 3D Marios, from Mario 64 to Mario Sunshine to the Mario Galaxy games, and maybe also a 3D World port. And a Paper Mario game for Mario's 35th anniversary. We got the announcement for the Paper Mario game, so it seems like there's at least a decent chance that we get some of this other stuff now, especially if Nintendo can release games with such short notice. But even with all the evidence, it still doesn't seem quite right to me. I have a hard time seeing Nintendo releasing these games separately, because that's just a ton of Mario games to release in such a short window. If all these came out this year, that would be a new Mario game every month for the rest of the year. And one, that's a lot of games, and you would expect that if they had so many, they would have spread them out more, and more specifically, that's a lot of Mario games. And if you release them all at the same time, chances are people aren't going to buy all of them. By releasing a bunch of games of the same style at the same time, you're probably going to miss out on a lot of sales, because people only really need one of that type of experience at a time. But I also have a bit of a hard time seeing Nintendo releasing them as one unit. Nintendo loves selling their old games for full price. It's like one of their hobbies or something. The Link's Awakening remake, for example, was $60, and that was a 2D handheld Zelda game. Nintendo also sold their N64 Zelda remakes on the 3DS separately and for full price. These are some of Nintendo's biggest and most acclaimed games of all time, and I have a hard time seeing them reworking all those games and selling them as one package. It just sounds a little too good to be true. I know they did a Mario All-Stars thing with the 2D games a while back, but I just don't see it happening with the 3D games, especially because Mario 64 would need a lot of work to come out as a game at this point. It's really conflicting for me, because I don't think it really makes sense for Nintendo to do it, but it also seems like a lot of things are pointing to it happening. It's been heavily rumored by some major publications, we got part of this rumor with the new Paper Mario, and it is Mario's 35th anniversary. But then again, Nintendo is pretty inconsistent with how much they do for anniversaries, and the 35th anniversary, it's not that big of an anniversary, like 35... But then again, we're running out of time for Nintendo to release a big holiday title, and it seems like a big Mario blowout could fill that in, and not necessarily need that much time between the reveal and release. But then again, Nintendo can apparently release things sooner after release than they used to, and I don't know, it's a lot to think about. A lot of these rumors don't totally make sense to me, but they also seem fairly credible at this point. It's still really hard to say what's coming for the rest of the year. But I can definitely say that I'm looking forward to this year a lot more now. I know a lot of people have concerns, but I think Paper Mario the Origami King looks like a lot of fun, and it seems like there's a good chance we get some more stuff this year. I kinda hope it's another new game, like the sequel to Zelda Breath of the Wild, which I think looks very cool, or Metroid? That's not gonna happen. The Mario blowout would be alright too, and I do really like all the old 3D Mario games, but I've also played them already, and I still own them, so I probably wouldn't buy them again. I know it'd be cool for some people, but I would personally prefer more of the new stuff. Ooh, we thinking Pikmin? I mean, Paper Mario happened, so who's to say we won't get a Pikmin trailer? It could happen any day now. I don't really like that it could happen any day now, but it could. 2020 is going to be a very strange year for Nintendo and the Switch, and part of that is because it's going to be really interesting and surprising what actually happens. Will any of these rumors be true? Will there be a big end-of-the-year title, and when will they actually show it? Will we ever get another Direct? Ever? Or, this year could literally just have Paper Mario. That's still totally possible. I think now, more than any point since 2017, the direction the Switch is going seems totally unpredictable, and that's sort of fun. But it's also a little stressful when you have videos planned out for like a month ahead of time and you're not especially in the know on things, but I'll be okay. I'll probably live. Well, I'm Redkwan. How do you feel about Nintendo's 2020? Are you excited for stuff to happen, or do you still think there's going to be barely anything? Will this video still be relevant by the time I make it? That's always a concern. I hope I didn't do this all for nothing. And also, hopefully this one's similar to the Paper Mario video I made before, and if it's not, seriously, tell me what to do better because I have no idea what I'm doing. There is no process here at all. Anyways, I'm Redkwan, thank you all for watching, and I'll hopefully see you all later. Goodbye.